everyone. This is Pat Mesiti live at 5, and I want to continue my message on They Told Me I Lost My Mind, or how to quarantine your mind. And yesterday I shared a story about how in 2001 I nearly lost my mind. I actually think I did lose my mind, struggling with depression, struggling with anxiety, struggling with, couldn't find anywhere out of a black hole. And today I want to share some insights from that experience and what I did. Because let me assure you, there is a battle for your mind right now. Every day, stuff's coming out. And have you noticed these preponderance of terror, these preponderance of fear, of fake numbers, fake statistics? It's almost like no one's dying of anything anymore but COVID. I find that disturbing. I find it deceptive. I find it frustrating. I know many of you are going through the same thing. But what can you do for your mind? Listen to me. What can you do? I want you to understand that your mind and your heart are intrinsically linked together. You can't think happy and feel sad. You can't think broke and live prosperously. And I really believe one of the first things that I had to learn to do, I had to learn to live from my heart. You see, what you believe in your worst moments is what you really believe. Your greatest struggle is not the struggle. Now, for someone like me who grew up and, I'm a fighter, it's just part of who I am, that's a tough call. But I want to encourage you to fight a good fight. Don't fight a bad fight. Don't get into a fight that you can't win. And by the way, not every war has a spoil. Now, right now, our freedoms have to be fought for. When you've got dictators in certain states and border closures and families you can't see, these are our freedoms. But you've got to understand that bravery for war comes from the heart. Cowards hide. Interestingly enough, I've been watching the US elections coming up, and I'm watching Sleepy Joe, Sleazy Joe, and Kamala Harris. I don't care how you pronounce her name. Doesn't bother me one bit. But I noticed that they don't want to take any questions from anyone. I noticed they quickly want to escort out. No, I'm going to cop it from someone out there on this comment. I find it cowardly. Yet President Trump can stand there, take the hits. He's out there. You know what I've discovered? When you've got the top job, it's a lot harder than when you're the dog on the side barking. And, people can be brave from a distance, but it's when you get in the ring. It's when you get in the ring. It's when those times you're called to make a split decision either way. And right now, many of us are having to make hard decisions that we really don't want to make. Things like not being able to travel to see a loved one. I know for myself, I can't see my daughter and my grandkids in Sydney. It's breaking my heart every day. Not a day goes by where I don't feel it. Not a day goes by where I don't shed a tear. I can't go visit my daughters in the United States. But these are our freedoms, and our freedoms must be fought from the heart. That means we fight a good fight, knowing that these are good things to fight for. You cannot give up. You cannot throw in the towel. Surrender is not an option. And secondly, when it comes to our heart, you've got to guard your heart. Put some protection on there. Don't let anger, bitterness, resentment, all those things get in there. Why? It will cloud your judgment. My great friend, Michael Francis. Michael was the highest income earner for the mafia since Al Capone. And he was telling me a bit about the life and when they made decisions to always stay in a place of calm. Now, for an Italian, that's a miracle. But he was able to do it. And that spoke to me. If I'm going to make great decisions, I've got to get my mind and my heart to agree. Let me share with you a very moving story. 2001, my world collapsed and I was so sick, struggling with depression. My teeth back here split in half. I couldn't remember things. I'd lost track of a lot of things. I still believe my mind today isn't as sharp as what it was. It was an awful time. And I was, at that time, living for a little while with my spiritual mum, Helen and Bert Anderson, who've passed away. And I remember one day going for a walk and I was crying, and mum put her arm under my elbow and she said, walk with me. And I was a bit, worried about, touching me. She says, oh, grow up, son. It's a touch of love. And she said to me, Pat, what's your head say? I said, Mum, my head's confused. How am I going to get out of this? Will it ever come good? Will I ever be able to get back on my feet? She said, what's your heart say? I said, my heart says all is well. My heart says I can be at peace. She said, son, get your head and your heart to agree. And that's my word for you today. Get your head and your heart to agree, regardless of circumstances, regardless of what's going on. Second thing I had to do is I had to reproduce things. If you're going to get out and win this battle, you've got to activate your mind muscle to reproduce. What can you do now? What business you can create? I keep saying week after week, we bring in the greats like Brian Tracy. We bring in the greats like Mark Victor Hansen. We're bringing in the greats like Jack Canfield, some of the greats in the next few weeks to come. And people don't access it. They just think they're going to stay in the same thing. Jobs are going to be the same. Hopefully JobKeeper will sustain you. Listen, you've got to get active. You see, a passive mind will die. You've got to feed this thing. You've got to get it going. That's why you've got to activate your mind reproductive organs. What can you reproduce? What can you create? What business can you start? What ideas? Can you start a YouTube channel? Can you start doing something out of the norm, guys? You see, if you will do that, I guarantee you'll win the fight. The other thing is, I believe also, one of the things I did is I used my hands. When my mind was pretty broken, I went and did things physically. One of my great friends, and still is a great friend, a man I still study with to this day, is Ray Andrews. And he said to me, Pat, I want you to go out and be a laborer. Laborer? These hands? I don't have a callus on them. He said, get out and be a laborer. So I went out and I shoveled concrete. I went out and I just did laboring. And it's amazing when I got my hands active. You see, the good book, and please hang with me on this one, says, blessed be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war, my fingers for battle. It doesn't mean you go out and fight with people. It talks about idle hands. Your idle hand is the devil's playground. Get active, do something. I know we can't do all things, but do something. Get your hands active. Get your hands moving. Get your hands creating. Me right now, I'm speaking, I'm moving my hands. But if you do that, I'm telling you, something will activate. You see, when our minds are confused, when there's clouds in our minds, we tend to take this kind of posture. No, take this kind of posture. One of the things that I did is I had to also be careful of who I hanged around with, which means I had to walk with the wise, my feet. Be careful who you walk with. My father used to say, tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. I'll give it to you in Italian. Dimmi con chi cammini e ti dico quel che sei. Tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. Several years ago, I was in the United States of America speaking with Dr. Bob Proctor and Dr. John D. Martini, and I had the great privilege of meeting several great speakers. And I said to my business partner at the time, Greg, I said, Greg, we should get this guy. He's really awesome. He's an outstanding man. He said, well, how do you know he's outstanding? You only met him for an hour. I said, I know he's outstanding because of the company he keeps. Bad company corrupts good morals. Get in good company. Listen, if you want to win the battle of the mind, get around good people. Do you realize your income will rise to the level of your 7 closest friends? Some of you are in deep yoga right now. Raise your level of influence. Get in community gets. Get onto some webinars, some seminars. Be part of something. Right now, I've got over 100 students that we're grooming them, training them to be active and doing things that they've never done before. One of my great friends out there, Martin, big salute to you, Martin. His book just went bestseller. In what, a week? Never written a book before. Doing things, active with his mind, and hanging around good people. You see, connection with human beings is vitally important. That's why That's why people are committing suicide and living in states of depression. Now, the human soul wasn't built for this. This is why there's a reaction. This is why there's suicide. This is why there's a lot of pain out there, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger out there. And for some of you politicians that are watching, if you don't think we're angry and you think we're going to forget, we're not that stupid. To our Premier up here, Palaszczuk, open the frickin' borders. Stop killing the economy. Stop walking with people with agendas. See, here's what you think, Ms. Palaszczuk. You think that you're protecting us. You're not. You become our captor. And I don't suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. And then if you don't know what it is, Stockholm Syndrome was a group of people that were kidnapped and then felt sorry and fell in love with their captors. Okay, Patty Hearst. But can I encourage you guys to hang around good people? Read books during this time. Hey, if you'd like some books, contact us. Say, Pat, I can't afford some books. Contact me. There's a chance. Inbox us. Or send us an email. You need something to read? I'll send you something to read, no problem. See, I don't want to leave you without an excuse. By the way, it doesn't mean you can freeload. But if you're going to read something, it's seriously going to apply. And if you say to me, Pat, send me a book, I'm going to ask for a summary of that book. I'm going to ask you to give me some insights. I'm just going to hand over you a book and then keep you accountable for it. And I know my producer, Jonathan, is watching this. And Jonathan, that'll make sure that we separate the sheep from the goats. But if you want to get your mind active and win it back, hang around good people. Make sure that your hands are active. The next thing is deny access or limit access to things that bring you like this. Do things, listen to things that give oxygen in your soul. Every day, go for a walk. For those of you that can walk, and I know many of you in Melbourne, you're restricted. But when you're going for your walk, get stuff in your ears. Uplifting music. Listen to something that gets your body going. I know that will change your life. You see, the war of your mind is not going to be won on the same level of consciousness that you had when you entered that war. You've got to elevate it. And make no mistakes, there is an enemy out there. It's an enemy of your soul, an enemy of your heart. Book of Life says that the enemy prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Now, he's not a lion, but he imitates like a lion, seeking whom he may. Now, you've got to decide whether he may or he may not. And that's one of the things that I remember. I'm going to share with you a story. Stick with me a few more minutes. During this worst season of my life, I thought I lost my mind. I was going to a meeting and I turned on the radio and there was a reporter basically slamming me with such vitriol. Now, this same reporter was at a party that I was at 2 weeks before, and at that time he was at a party and a lot of the boys from my Teen Challenge group were there as well. Of course, he didn't know my face, but this same reporter was opposed to us having a drug rehabilitation center in a certain area and vilified Teen Challenge. And then he decided to vilify me and have a go at me and a few other friends of mine at the time. And I just wanted to die. I said, I couldn't believe it. My mind was being told. I started to cry. I thought, I've got to switch this off. And I switched it off and I put on the tape. And the tape says, you're going to die one day. I'm going, oh my God, I've jumped from the frying pan into the fire. But you're not going to. But then the speaker goes, you're going to die one day. But you're not going to die today. And right now you're going through a night season. And just like Aaron's bud, Aaron's rod in the Bible, Aaron's rod, the high priest of God, his rod budded overnight. In other words, it's in the night season that you bear fruit. And I know many of you don't understand the biblical thing, but let me just share with you this. It's in the night seasons that you bloom. It's in the night seasons that you learn what you're really made of. It's in the night seasons that you learn where your strength is. It's in the night seasons where you train hard and then you win easy. Listen, you learn nothing during the good times. The difficult times show certain things in life. Number one, who you really are. Number two, what you really believe. That's important to get your belief right. Shift your beliefs. You are loved, you are valuable, you're precious, you're successful, you're prospering, you're going to win, you're going to come out of this alive, and you will not be a victim. Begin to say those words, and you watch how your mind will be transformed, and you can win the war of the mind. Hey, if you enjoyed today's message, why don't you share it? Bring some good news to people. Press like and subscribe. Make sure that you tune in every day till Friday this week. And by the way, also avail yourself the tickets we've got with one of the greatest teachers and motivators and sales teachers on the planet. Brian Tracy, the legend, is coming in a week's time to do a virtual summit with us. First 1,000 tickets are free, so make sure you get a hold of them. This is Mesiti. You have a prosperous life.